the last thing I do now is put the lining on to finish off that edge. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my lining on, right sides together. Okay. So here's the right side. And this is smaller because I've still got to do all my tucks on here, but I'll do that later. So now I'm just gonna pin this on so that it matches exact, and then I will permanently stitch the neck edge. So I'm just going to keep my seams matching up here, keep my raw edges together, and okay, so, oh, you know what? I thought I felt something. See how I've got that little tuck there? I got to take that out. Since this is just basting, that'll come out pretty easy. And then I don't need to redo that because it's held pretty good everywhere else. So I just need to pin that good so it's flat. And I want to line up this. Line up your notches. I've got this stay stitched. Now I stay stitched this at 1/2 inch and this before I was thinking about it. My seam is only going to be at 3/8, so I will have to take out my stay stitching. I really should have stay stitched at 1/4 because remember it should be 1/8 of an inch less than your seam. But so I just was on autopilot and stay stitched at 1/2 inch, so that will have to be taken out later. But you guys, if you're watching this video, you won't make that same mistake. I'll just tell you not to. Okay, all right, so it looks like I've got this. Now I lined everything up, but it's bunching a little bit here because I think the neck and the collar kind of got a little bit shorter just because there were so many layers. So I want this to be smooth here. So let's see, I gotta get this nice and smooth. Okay. All right, that's better. Yeah, so the lining was off a little bit here. So now see again, when we're working with multiple layers, you want to keep those nice and smooth. So I've got to bring that up a little bit. There we go. Okay, the lining is, yeah, because I've been working on the other layers. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to, so I'm making sure you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm just laying it out, keeping it nice and smooth. Okay, that's, when you're working with the other layers, the most important thing is to make sure they lay together. And the notches are off a teeny bit, and that's okay. Because like I said, it's better to keep it smooth than to put it exactly where the notch is and have it kind of ripple and stuff. Okay, so you just want to feel and make sure that's looking good. And also we want this to kind of swing over that way so that it's fitting on the garment good. Okay, that looks good. Now this right here, I'm seeing a little bit of a pucker right here, so I've got to kind of smooth smooth that out a little bit here. There we go. Okay. All right, see it's pulling a little bit there. If you've got layers together and one of them's pulling against the other one, then they aren't going to lay right on people. Okay, I think I've got that. So if we just look at that, now see when I finish sewing it, then I'll flip this around to the inside, right sides together, and the collar's in between. So that's how we finish off our neck seam. Okay, good. I am ready to permanently stitch this. So I'm going to make sure I'm on a basting stitch. I'm sorry, get off my basting stitch and go to my regulation stitch, because I'm going to permanently stitch this. Now, I'm actually going to stitch it from the garment side, so I can kind of see my other stitching and make sure that those edges are together, are good. Okay, now this is, basting is pulling a little bit right here, so I'm gonna kind of let that smooth out. Yes. Yeah, if there's gonna be puckers, it'll be on the garment side. So that's why I wanna make sure I'm gonna stitch. Okay, from that side, and I wanna stitch it at 3/8. So I've got my marking here. So let's go ahead and get that on 3/8. Wait, let me get this foot pedal arranged there. Okay, we're going to go back a few stitches. And we go forward. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to follow my 3/8, which will be close to the basting that I just did. Curve here. Gotta make sure I get all my pins out as I go. And I've got everything basted in place, so I should be okay. Now I noticed here that my seam is kind of pushing. It got folded the wrong way. So I am going to snip that basting so that I can lay it down flat. That's one of the reasons I wanted to stitch from this side, so I could catch that kind of problem. But if it happens, you can just undo your stitching or and a little bit before and after, so you can smooth it out and then restitch. Okay. Wow. Okay, I just ran out of bobbin thread. Can you believe that? I finished stitching that just in time. Okay, let's look at this and see how it looks. Okay, so now if I like how everything's looking, then I would need to come back and trim and grade and clip it good and understitch. Okay, look at that. So if I can see how that's such a tight little seam, you can hardly even fold it under, because it needs to be trimmed and graded and clipped to make it fold flat. But look at that. I think that is looking good. And I just want to make sure my collar looks the same, because if I pulled it, like if it, when I stitch this, if I went too far on one seam and not the other, then the collar won't be the same. But that looks pretty good. My collar looks good. So I will we'll go ahead and I'll do a little bit of trimming and grading, and then we'll finish it up.